Welcome to Mwaki Insights, your home for in-depth geopolitical analysis. Today we'll take a deep look into Israel's second covert strike on Hezbollah, targeting operatives using exploding pagers and walkie-talkies in a campaign that could rewrite the rules of modern warfare. But what does this mean for the rest of the world? Could any nation face a similar threat? Stay tuned as we unpack these critical developments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest global political insights. The world watched in astonishment as news broke of a brazen attack, not on a battlefield, but within the very heart of Hezbollah. This was not just another skirmish in the long-standing conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. It was a meticulously planned operation that struck at the core of the organization. A series of explosions targeting high-ranking officials through rigged communication devices sent shockwaves through the organization and beyond. The precision and timing of these attacks were unprecedented, leaving Hezbollah scrambling to understand the full extent of the breach. These were not conventional bombs or missiles, but rather cleverly disguised instruments of espionage, pagers and walkie-talkies, transformed into deadly weapons. The sophistication of these devices highlighted a new level of technological warfare, where everyday objects could be turned into instruments of death. The incident marked a stark escalation in Israel's covert war against Hezbollah, a shadow conflict fought with technology and subterfuge rather than tanks and troops. This was a new kind of warfare, one that blurred the lines between military and civilian targets, and between combatants and non-combatants. These attacks were more than just isolated incidents. They represented a calculated strategy by Israel to cripple Hezbollah's command and control structure. By targeting the very tools that Hezbollah relied on for communication and coordination, Israel aimed to disrupt their operations at the highest levels. By striking at the very tools used for communication and coordination, Israel aimed to sow chaos and distrust within the organization's ranks. The psychological impact of these attacks was profound as Hezbollah members began to question the safety and reliability of their own equipment. The exploding pagers and walkie-talkies were not merely weapons, they were symbols of vulnerability, a chilling message that nowhere was safe, not even the seemingly mundane tools of daily communication. This tactic forced Hezbollah to rethink their entire communication strategy, adding layers of complexity and paranoia to their operations. The audacity of the attacks sent a clear message. Israel was willing to operate outside the conventional rules of warfare, employing innovative and often ruthless tactics to achieve its objectives. This approach demonstrated a willingness to push the boundaries of traditional military engagement, leveraging technology in ways that had never been seen before. The world took notice, questioning the legality and morality of such actions, while simultaneously grappling with the implications of this new era of covert warfare. Debates raged in international forums about the ethics of using such tactics, and whether they constituted a violation of international law. This was not a conflict confined to the battlefields of the Middle East, but rather a chilling precedent for potential conflicts in every corner of the globe. The use of technology in warfare had opened a Pandora's box, raising questions about the future of global security and the nature of modern conflict. As nations watched and learned from these events, the world braced for a new era where the lines between war and peace, combatant and civilian, were increasingly blurred. The first wave of attacks focused on disrupting Hezbollah's operational capacity. This was a meticulously planned operation, aimed at striking at the very heart of their communication and coordination systems. Pagers, used by field commanders to receive orders and coordinate movements, were a critical component of their communication network. These seemingly outdated devices were still in use due to their reliability and simplicity. However, these pagers were rigged with sophisticated explosives, turning a trusted tool into a deadly weapon. The explosives were expertly concealed, making detection nearly impossible without specialized equipment. These devices, disguised to appear identical to their ordinary counterparts, were virtually indistinguishable from the real ones. This added a layer of deception that made the threat even more insidious. They were distributed through a complex network of informants and double agents, who operated under the radar. These covert operatives played a crucial role in ensuring the devices reached their intended targets without arousing suspicion. The detonations, while causing limited casualties, sent a wave of fear and paranoia through Hezbollah's ranks. The psychological impact was immediate and profound, as members began to question the safety of their own equipment. The strategic brilliance of the first strike lay in its psychological impact. By undermining the trust in their communication devices, the attackers sowed seeds of doubt and fear that would have long-lasting effects. Hezbollah, known for its discipline and operational security, was suddenly confronted with the terrifying reality that its own communication channels were compromised. This realization shook the organization to its core. the trust that bound the organization together, essential for its effectiveness, began to erode. Members started to look at each other with suspicion, and the once cohesive unit began to fracture. The attacks forced Hezbollah to reassess its security protocols, leading to widespread suspicion and mistrust within its ranks. New measures were implemented, but the damage to their morale was already done. The effectiveness of the first strike lay not just in its immediate impact, but also in the uncertainty it created. Commanders were now hesitant, second-guessing their decisions and questioning the reliability of their equipment. The knowledge that seemingly harmless devices could be turned into deadly weapons had a chilling effect. Every pager, every communication device was now a potential threat, adding a new layer of stress to their operations. The constant fear of another attack, the inability to trust even the most basic tools of communication, eroded Hezbollah's morale and operational effectiveness. The psychological toll was immense as the organization struggled to adapt to this new and insidious form of warfare. In response, Hezbollah began to train its members in new security protocols and introduced more advanced communication devices. However, the shadow of doubt lingered, and the psychological scars remained. The first wave of attacks had achieved its goal. It had not only disrupted Hezbollah's operational capacity, but had also planted seeds of disruption that would continue to grow, affecting their future strategies and operations. As Hezbollah grappled with these new challenges, the resilience of its members was put to the test. The organization had to find ways to rebuild trust and restore confidence, all while remaining vigilant against further attacks. The battle was no longer just about physical strength or tactical superiority. It was a battle of minds, a test of psychological endurance, and the ability to adapt in the face of unseen threats. The seeds of disruption had been sown, and their impact would be felt for a long time to come. The second strike was even more audacious, targeting the upper echelons of Hezbollah's leadership. Walkie-talkies, used by high-ranking officials for secure communication, were compromised and turned into deadly traps. The explosives, miniaturized yet incredibly powerful, were designed to inflict maximum damage within a confined radius, effectively targeting individuals rather than causing widespread casualties. The choice of targets in the second wave was highly strategic. By eliminating key decision-makers and disrupting the flow of information at the highest levels, Israel aimed to paralyze Hezbollah's ability to operate effectively. The attacks were designed not just to eliminate individuals, but to sow chaos and confusion within the organization, creating a leadership vacuum that would be difficult to fill. The second strike had a profound impact on Hezbollah's command structure. The loss of experienced leaders, coupled with the fear of further attacks, led to a paralysis in decision-making. Suspicions ran rampant as the organization struggled to identify the breaches in its security and root out potential moles. The attacks created a climate of fear and uncertainty that reached the highest levels of Hezbollah's leadership. The attacks on Hezbollah raised profound questions about the changing nature of warfare. These events have forced us to reconsider the very fabric of modern conflict, where traditional battlefields are no longer the only arenas of war. The potential for similar covert operations to be employed elsewhere is a growing concern for global security experts. The clandestine nature of these operations makes them difficult to predict and even harder to counter. The tactics used, exploiting the very tools of communication relied upon by organizations and governments worldwide, have shown how easily our interconnected world can be turned against us. The digital age has brought unprecedented convenience, but also new vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities transcend national borders, making it a global issue that requires international cooperation. The ease with which information can cross borders means that no nation is truly isolated from these threats. The chilling reality is that the methods used against Hezbollah could be replicated in countless other contexts. Whether it's a state actor or a non-state actor, the tools and techniques are available to anyone with the resources and intent. From terrorist organizations to criminal enterprises, the reliance on technology for communication and coordination creates vulnerabilities that can be exploited. This reliance is a double-edged sword, offering both advantages and significant risks. The reliance on technology for communication and coordination creates vulnerabilities that can be exploited. Every text, call, and email is a potential entry point for those looking to cause harm. The attacks serve as a stark reminder that the battleground of the future may not be confined to traditional theaters of war. Instead, it could extend to the digital realm and the very devices we use every day. Our smartphones, computers, and even household appliances could become tools of warfare. The digital realm is now a critical front in the fight against terrorism and crime. The very devices we use for convenience and communication can be turned into weapons against us. The attacks on Hezbollah serve as a wake-up call for intelligence agencies and security forces globally. they highlight the need for a new approach to security, one that takes into account the digital and interconnected nature of our world. The traditional methods of intelligence gathering and counter-terrorism are no longer sufficient in an era where technology can be so easily weaponized. The old ways must be supplemented with new strategies and tools. The need for enhanced cybersecurity is more pressing than ever. As threats evolve, so too must our defenses. This means investing in technology, training, and international cooperation. Coupled with a deeper understanding of the nexus between technology and terrorism, our approach to security must be holistic and forward-thinking. We must anticipate threats before they materialize and be ready to respond swiftly and effectively. The importance of global cooperation cannot be overstated. In a world where borders are increasingly irrelevant in the digital space, nations must work together to combat these emerging threats. The future of security depends on our ability to adapt and collaborate on a global scale. Israel's second strike on Hezbollah shows a new era of covert warfare, one that could easily spill over into other parts of the world. Could your country be the next target? How will global powers like the US, China, and Russia respond to these emerging tactics? Comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to Milwaukee Insights for more in-depth analysis on the most pressing geopolitical issues.